What's up, guys? It's your host, Travis and John. So, this is a very interesting episode for you guys to listen to today. We're actually post-recording the beverage of the day because we didn't drink while we were actually recording this podcast. We're actually back at John's place after recording our host, drinking our beverage of the day. So, just giving you guys a precursor before we get into the podcast and the beverage of the day. There is a lot of touchy subjects in this episode. We interview Bear, like we were talking about, the Krav Maga guy from John's gym, and we talk about veteran suicide,
substance abuse,
combat, living with guilt through combat.
just lots of things that definitely veterans will associate with.
Yeah,
and probably families of veterans.
It's a heavy episode, but it's very interesting. Bear is a very interesting person. I had a blast talking to him and listening to his stories, and he has a great heart to him. He has a great company or nonprofit that he's trying to start right now that I would highly recommend everyone looking into. We plan on having him on again to talk about his what is it called, the Patriot?
Yeah, the Patriot camp he's trying to come up with. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're gonna have him on again once he gets more information on that and talk about that. But it was definitely a great episode, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. But without further ado, John, what's the beverage of the day?
Today we have Mike Hess Into the Sunset Blood Orange IPA. I stumbled there for a minute. Blood Orange IPA. Yep, 6.5%. It's really good.
It is really good. John and I had one of these before we actually went to go record the podcast. And it's an IPA, and at first the tones, you don't really taste the blood orange, but the afternotes is definitely the kind of rind of the orange, blood orange with a little bit of juice.
It's delicious.
It is. It's really good. So this is our beverage of the day. It's fantastic. What's the alcohol percentage, John? 6.5.
6.5. It's Mike Hess is also the place we may have went to that we also get our tacos.
Yeah.
They brew this beer. Delicious.
It is. It is fantastic. So that's our beverage of the day. That's our little cursor for this episode. If you guys have sensitive people around you that don't want to hear stuff like this, then I recommend they don't listen because he does not hold back. It does get dark in some areas, and John does a fantastic job on pulling it in. So without further ado, here's the next episode of Elbows Tight Podcast. Thanks, guys. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Elbows Tight Podcast. It's your host, Travis and John. John, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to have Bear from the Bear Cave on the podcast today.
Yes, sir. I'm excited, too. John's been talking highly of you, Bear.
Yeah, I don't believe everything.
No, I said last time, I said, man, I finally got to train with Bear, and I thought I was going to throw up, and it was only 30 minutes.
He literally said he thought he was going to throw up. He's like,
that was only stand-up, too. We didn't go to the mat yet.
Oh,
man. You're going to have the advantage. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see.
So, we kind of talked about you a little bit on the last episode, Bear, giving you a little bit of hype into this one. So, without further ado, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and give us a little story on who you are?
Sure. I want to say I appreciate you guys doing this. This is outstanding.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Getting some exposure during the this COVID crisis thing. We don't get a lot of exposure right now from an advertising standpoint. So, but me, I start off with a father of 5 girls. 56 years old, retired from the Navy, Naval Special Warfare, so got most of my hand-to-hand training there. I pursued the traditional martial arts for quite a while and did some point competition fighting, thought I knew how to fight, and then I teamed up with some Israelis in Iraq and realized I didn't know what I was doing. From the average Joe standpoint, sure, taking care of business on the corner, but from a reality standpoint, going against a bladed weapon or real-world scenarios, we were missing the essentials. And so I was fortunate enough to train with them for 6 months, and then when we returned from that deployment, I got TD orders to Israel and trained there.
Wow.
So that's like after on the Fight World where he goes to Israel.
He goes to
do you have that? Is that Fight World or
I
Human
think it's
Weapon?
Fight World.
Human Weapon?
No, this one's Fight World on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
He goes to Israel and gets Krav Maga training.
Okay, that's great. I want to see that. I have not seen that yet.
Fantastic.
But Human Weapon did an episode.
Oh, really?
I want to say a couple of years ago now, where they go in and do the same thing. These guys are trained fighters. One was just a freestyle fighter, competitor. The other one was traditional martial arts, and they they try to adapt and they realize that, they get the surprise, so to speak.
Right.
I really don't know what I'm doing here in
Right.
an essential standpoint. So neat stuff, though. But I have that if you guys want to borrow it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But where did I leave off there?
So you went over to Israel, got some training?
Yep.
Yeah, I did. And ended up coming back here and then training with Ultimate in Tucson, Arizona. Opened up my own gym. Got my fifth level, which is essential to a black belt, so to speak. And then, it's funny. We here in America think that's like the end. You've reached the top. That's really the beginning. Now you're a student. You're no longer. You can make the coffee. Now you can drink it. So
right. I like that.
But you are far from eating breakfast. Right. So, that was my deal. I was lucky enough to do a good market analysis in Tucson there, and had some good success as far as numbers go. And then moved back out here to Coronado for my daughters, so they could go to school in Coronado High, and opened a gym here. And then I wasn't sure how it was going to work. I always wanted another gym. It's not a get-rich business. It's a lifestyle. So if you don't enjoy what you're doing, don't do it.
Right.
And for me, I did enjoy it. At the same time, I got to pay the bills. And ironically enough, I had gone back to school. And while in the service, I was damaged goods. I got hurt in Iraq, as many of us have. And that put me through a path in the VA that was less than desirable. I realized the flaws in the system, not in the people, but in the system itself. The people are great people.
Right.
And they're as frustrated as we veterans are. And because they don't have the resources to help us the way they know they need to help us. And that being said, I identified with that on a personal level. And so I was like, we can do better. My undergrad was in Homeland Security Emergency Management. So then I was like, okay, do I go be a contractor again? I kind of deviated from my biography. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. This is good. It's interesting.
My biography had me retire due to injuries, pursue contracting work. I had a great job offer in Tucson as the director of flight operations for unmanned systems, which is what I did in the Navy my last 6 years. I pretty much pioneered the unmanned aerial vehicle. Now you guys know as drones.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
I want to say that's all me, but I was all that for the Navy. When we're talking about tactical platoon level unmanned systems, what you see flying around in people's backyards now. Excuse me. So did some work for NASA under that contracting label. I went back abroad like a sports agent. I'm taking shooters that are now retiring quickly because the money's there. We're talking about big money here.
Yeah.
We're talking about $250,000 a year tax free. Who would turn that down?
Oh yeah.
Right.
And we're doing what we want to do with less. Right. With what we train to do, right? We train to be shooters. Be careful what you wish for, right? But we train to terminate and life with little regard, so to speak. So I did that, and that kind of made me realize, okay, well, we can do better. Going through the VA system, realizing the flaws, seeing what we're up against with regards to taking care of our veterans downrange, and as they come back, I thought that, I can do more than that rather than be a shooter and just collect the money. It's not all about the money.
Right.
Does that make sense, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Summarize that right, because I feel like I just threw that out in the wind.
No, that was really good.
We deal with the veterans, the VA ourselves, so we know a lot of the frustrations that go with that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah,
especially now. I mean, try and go and get in the door now. It's like Andromeda Strain. You got guys. I'm dating myself with that movie, but it's like people with face masks and and do you belong here?
I tried to get an ID before we came out here. The health vet ID. You get enough disability, you go get to take that. You get that card, vet tech, whatever it's called. But they wouldn't actually even take my picture because of the pandemic right now, so I can't use it.
They wouldn't take a picture.
Right, I couldn't even get in the building. They were like, "Sorry, you're gonna have to wait till COVID's over." So I'm like, "All right." So I'm down here, and I'm like, I wish I could go in the commissary while I'm down here, but I guess I'll just wait.
Right.
Yeah. That's No, it's funny, but it shouldn't be, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm in the process right now of doing my disability also, but mine is kind of different. Every time my appointments come up, something's happening in life to where I can't make them. You know what I mean? Like Monday, I'm supposed to be going to do all my appointments. I've been out for 5 years, and so a lot of people are like, "You've waited this long?"
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
I was a long waiting line, buddy.
Yeah, you need to do this. Go do it.
Yeah, so like I'm supposed to have my appointments on Monday, but up in Washington, and
your appointments
I'm
are in
here.
Washington for evaluation?
Yeah, well, because we live
Lord.
up in Washington. We're only down here
Oh, that's
temporarily.
right. You guys are Washington State.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I
yes,
think
sir.
thinking DC, but yeah.
No.
I love Washington State.
Yeah, it's
I wish I could
beautiful.
go
Have you ever
back
been up there?
I have. Squim is my favorite town.
Oh,
I've had the privilege of flying in there as a right seater a couple of times.
Oh, nice.
And, yeah, it's the weather there is questionable from an aviator standpoint, but Squim is always open. It's where this big hole in the sky.
Yep,
It's always
clear.
clear. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always clear.
Squim is where Spencer's from, right?
Spencer's also where they got that awesome wildlife park you can drive through. And
One of our buddies who's probably on 2-3 episodes ago, Army vet. He's originally from Squim also, and he come right. That was where he was from, right?
I believe so.
And he just moved down to Kitsap County with us too. So he talks about that place very highly. Also, I think I've been up there one time, and it was for a wedding, so it was only like a couple hours. But when I was up there, it was beautiful. You know,
it's from me, my standpoint, it's a wonderful place to go.
yeah.
I love
Where you originally from?
New York, born in New York, raised in Jersey, hopped trains into New York, into the city, got in a lot of trouble, that kind of thing. And then I had an older brother of 6 years that smacked me around a little bit here, keep me in line when time came. But then broken home syndrome brought me out to Arizona. Typical story for that era, so to speak. And then the Navy. I saw Top Gun. Honestly, guys, that's not a BS story here. I saw Top Gun and listened to the next day.
Oh, nice.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
Certainly the recruiter goes, "Oh yeah, sure you can do that." He's like, "Yeah, sign right here. You can do whatever you want, man.
Yeah.
You got 3 of those lined up for you. Whatever color paint scheme you want. We
That's
have
so
F-14,
funny.
We give those away to you.
We'll even let you go wherever you want.
Yeah, actually, right now we have a 2-1 special, right? 2-1 special.
Sure.
They were probably eating that up. Recruiters there to the time were like, "Oh yes, you could come be Maverick, absolutely, please. Yeah, you want to ride the street bike down Coronado? Yeah, by all means,
Absolutely.
bro."
Hey, well, it got me, and you know, all jokes aside, the Navy was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yes, I agree.
And me.
Straightened me up.
Absolutely.
I'd be in jail for sure.
Yeah,
or have a long record right now. You know, be paying for that, but yeah. And my first duty station was in the Philippines. Imagine that.
Oh, nice. Subic Bay?
Olongapo.
Olongapo?
So-
Yeah, nice place.
That's where you were stationed out there, too. Right?
No, I was stationed in Guam, but I went to Olongapo, Subic Bay quite a bit. And we did, the boat I was on, we did weeks there. So basically it was like, they're like, all right, we're going to go to Subic Bay. And I'm there for like 2 weeks just partying with the locals.
Subic, yeah.
And like, but and this is after they closed the base down, obviously. But you could still see
Okay.
like the remnants of the base, and like the gates are still there, but they're just wide open to the locals, and they just coming in off of what was the base.
Is there a structure there still? The buildings are still there?
Yeah,
and
they're still
utilized?
there's still buildings, but all the locals use them. They have like a casino, a bank, all on like the base area. But you can still see like the parks that were there during the time, and like the old barracks are now hotels and things like that. So it's kind of cool because you're there. You're like, wow, this used to be ours.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And like,
it looked a lot different, obviously.
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah, because now it's a lot of overgrown and stuff like that. Because the military's not there taking care of it. But it's a beautiful area too. Pulling into the Philippines on a boat is crazy.
No, I never got that. I wish I would have.
It was beautiful. The Philippines was beautiful, but pulling into Malaysia was even crazier.
Yeah, I've done that one.
Singapore, Malaysia, beautiful place.
Yes,
one of my favorite places in the world.
Yeah,
did 45 days in Singapore.
Ooh,
staying in the Hilton, not a bad
bad
stay.
at all.
TAD there, a temporary side duties. You guys know, and trained with the Singapores on VBSS, which is ship takedowns. And so anyway, that was not tough duty. First duty station being Olongapo, Philippines. It's a whole new. It's like, what? This actually exists. You can actually come here and do these things.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so when you first joined the Navy, what was your job originally before you went Special Forces or
warfare?
Special warfare for us. Sorry.
No, that's a great question because at that time, you had to, in other words, convert to a specialty,
right?
Which is a diver or air crewman. You had to be in a job position, a rating that would support that.
Right.
I came in the Navy as an electronic warfare operator, EW, which is counter or anti-ship missile defense. So if you remember the Stark frigate incident that got hit by 2 Exocet missiles, my job was to defend the ship against that attack. So those electronic warfare operators, EWs by rate, something broke down in their chain of command, so to speak, and allowed those missiles to hit. So that was my job initially in combat. Combat's the space on a ship. You guys,
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Combat, you know what combat is. CC, Combat Control Center.
Yep.
So then I had to shift rates. I had to change rates to something that was a diver source rating, so I went HT.
Oh, I was an HT.
Yeah, and I was a QM.
Yeah, okay.
After that, and just had to bounce to make rank because I wasn't tested in the field. I went EOD in 9110 was my class number. So 90, I transitioned. Started my package. I graduated 9110. EOD was my class number. So, mid 91 was the position. But now it's not that way. Now you can't do those things anymore with regards to shifting around.
Right.
So I was EOD before I went Spec War, which was really, that was fantastic.
Right.
You can't do that anymore either. So
yeah.
My whole career, I consider myself very privileged because I was allowed to do so much. I had so many liberties. Was very close to my commanding officers most of the time. They allowed me those liberties to kind of stretch a little bit outside the box. Did I answer your question?
Yeah,
about what I was before I was in the Navy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was that, and now I end up being. Now we're all rates, right? I'm an SBC, Special Boat Chief. So you've got SEAL and SWIC. Those are the 2 primary action arms in Naval Special Warfare, and so I was lucky enough to be able to wear both pins. I'm called a twin pin now. So.
Yeah, that's real cool. When I was in Guam, there's a couple teams out there and a couple reserve teams come out there. And one of my very good friends, he's I don't know where he's living at now, but he was a reservist, SB1. And it was cool hanging out with the people that he worked with because it was like MARSOC, SEAL,
SWIC. Yeah.
And I was like, I was going to these bars with all these guys, and I was like, oh, like, what's up, man? Hey, what do you do? He's like, oh, yeah, I'm a SEAL. I was like, oh, all right. I was like, I'm just an HT, normal service HT2 at the time. And so I was like, this is really cool to hang out with all these people. There's like some of the...
Well, Guam, you got Unit 4s there.
Yeah.
So, I actually, in the other room here, is my Guam T-shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll have to break that out when we're done, or I'll show you.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm trying to take these T-shirts, which no longer fit for a variety of reasons.
Muscle's too big, man. Muscle's too big.
I have to say that's one, but it's really the big ab, the single ab that's in front that does not fit anymore.
Yeah.
I got to work that one ab more often.
Yeah, it's just hibernating. That's all it is. It's the COVID weight, like we said when I first walked in. It's just the COVID weight.
It's crazy how all the rates have changed, though. What year did you get out?
Let's see. I went in 88. Oh, 08. I got out 08. Yeah. I basically, medically couldn't. Well, they didn't pull the trigger on that. I could have stayed, but I was in for warrant for the second time. Which is typical. You go in, you get passed over the first time just to see if you still want it. If you really want it, then you put another package.
Right.
So I'd be a warrant 4 right now and just kind of ride the easy train. But I chose to get out. I look at it as being a mistake at this point, but I've done so much between then and now. It was very hard for me to. I had no idea it would be this difficult on a personal level to transition from service life to civilian life.
Right.
It is. That's a big change.
Did not like it. And I went to a great job. So real quickly, I'll try and summarize this.
No, take all the time you need.
Yeah,
we have no time crunch.
Okay. Break out the... Anyway. I had a choice to sitting there in the hospital in Bethesda, Maryland, going, okay, now what do I do? It's very difficult when you're at the tip of the sword for your job. And I can honestly say that for me, I was at the top of my heap. I had done an awful lot and was mostly successful at what I had tried to do. And thanks to that freedom that was given by some very great commanding officers, I'd say John Wood and Commander Rogers and these guys who were really, really good to me. Had a few bad ones in there, right? But I guess I was given all this liberty and this freedom, and was successful in the fact that
it was the hard transition.
Because I got stuck on just something that Commander Rogers had told me once, and it was about having a baby at 44. Don't know why I segued over there in my mind, but I did.
You live in the past. You're in the back right now.
But yeah, when I was faced with this great job. Okay, let's just take the scenario. I can re-enlist for $140,000, roughly. Okay, I can re-enlist for collective amount of $140,000 up front, the rest over X amount of years. Pick up warrant, put it on. Great stuff. The girl always plays into these scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the girl played into this, and I was like, okay, what's best for that scenario? Should not have gone that route, but hindsight's 2020. So, the job I was facing was Director of Flight Operations for British Aerospace Engineering. Before it was British Aerospace, it was Advanced Ceramics Research, which was a smaller company, 75 strong. But I had started to build a division of operators that were augmenting uniformed shooters going downrange, utilizing advanced technology, which is unmanned aerial systems.
Right.
Both vertical takeoff, VTOL, fixed wing, and the variety of combination of both, which may still be classified. So I still hold there. I chose the civilian world, thinking, okay, this is corporate. Put on the tie now. I don't have to get dirty. I did not fit well in that corporate mold.
Yeah.
The small company was great. Again, given the liberty and the freedom to move and shake at my discretion, I built this business model to augment these shooters downrange, and that ended up being worth a lot of money to the company. So British Aerospace looked at this company going, okay, let's not compete with them. Let's buy them up. So they did. They looked at not just what I had done. I don't want to claim the fame of saying the reason why they bought us was because of that, but it was part the reason.
Right.
And the other businesses they had going on at the time, materials and stuff that Advanced Ceramics had going on. But it was good money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I look back on the money versus the tax breaks versus the beauty of being at the top of your heap and not having to answer to many, to have basically starting over again, even though I was at a director's position, which is pretty high in that world. Executive level, I got I got a card. You got a card? You a card holder? That kind of thing.
No.
I was a card holder.
Members jacket only.
I wish.
I got my own here too. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I think that endorsement kicked in like 3 or 4 times. Nobody uses a card. Let's kick it in. So I went the route. Obviously, now I went the route to retire and take this position, and BAE brought us up, and that was all good. When it came down to the moral and ethics standpoint, I was training troops, men and women, a lot of these were ex-shooters, so it's very easy to train a shooter to be a pilot. Train a pilot to be a shooter is a whole other story.
Yeah.
So, and have that background, that experience, there's a lot in that bubble. We say, I'm a shooter, I'm an operator, special warfare operator. That encompasses a lot of knowledge when you say that. When you say I'm a pilot, well, you can get that in 2 months down here to be a private pilot. Now, not belittling that either, just saying I had to work with what I had to create these teams that would then augment platoons, active duty platoons, downrange. And I had to pay them a lot of money. I had to build and move people from their home states to where we were. And it wasn't about it wasn't about the individual in the Navy, and the teams would worry about the person.
Right.
Okay, for me, it's all about the men, the gear, and then me.
Right.
Okay, you guys come first. If you're in my platoon and I'm your OIC, officer in charge, your platoon commander, you guys eat before I eat. You sleep before I sleep. Otherwise, that's just bad leadership. Lead by example. Well, in the corporate world, and especially on the money side, no. The company has to make money first, then maybe
everyone else. Yep.
And there was no support infrastructure, near to the degree that we have in the active teams now. So I had to deal with all of that, manufacture that in a way. So as push came to shove, I just had enough. I was not getting, and then they said, okay, well, you need to fire 30 people out of a 90-person division.
Oh, a third.
I had just, exactly, it was a third, 33 and a third, right. I had to, one, process that in my head, but I had just moved these people from across states. They had sold their homes, they had moved their families, and I was like, there's a lot before this. It's like the culmination and the end of a struggle. And I just said, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Get it to fire me first. I said, okay, drop your ID off at the door.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was it. Now, of course, there were people that were fighting for me to stay in because I had a lot going on at the time. And I walked into my team space, our division space, and I said, look, this was days before this. If you don't see me here, then be prepared for a mass exodus because if they're going to fire me, they're going to fire you guys too. I'm going to stay. So what I did, I stood up for my men and for the people downrange and got the civilian reaction, which was terminate, you're bucking the system, bring somebody in here that can say yes.
Right.
So that was the last time I worked for anybody. I've been working for myself ever since.
Wow.
So that was 2014, maybe.
Then you opened up the gym right afterwards, or had you already had the gym open?
I had, this is the gym in Tucson. I had been playing with the idea of this and training Parasite to this whole conversation during that time. And wanted the gym, but had not done the analysis, and I was naive to it, and I had no idea how to do it. I'm not a business guy. I hadn't been before this. And I had a couple of paper companies, I thought I was somebody special. Yeah, I got an LLC. It's over there on the shelf, right? I mean, honestly, it was a little book on the shelf. That's my LLC. I felt somehow important that way. I guess it came down to just realizing that I can do more with who I am. And so we moved the kids and the family. Did I answer your question? I'm not sure that I did.
Yeah, you're perfectly good.
I moved the kids, I should say the family. The girlfriend at the time realized that she was not family ready. And so she stayed in D.C. Long distance relationship, whole other story. Mm-hmm. But basically burned itself out. Respect her to death. She was a wonderful girl and a great part of my life. So if she does ever hear this, I want to make sure she
hears that.
She hears that. And honestly, with purity, she was one of the very few in my life that actually did the right way. And I wish her all the best. So moved to Coronado. Kids are in school now. Now what do I do? So as a freelance contractor, anyway, I missed a whole big chapter in there of how I started a company. And should I hit on that a little bit?
Yeah, by all means, wherever you want to go with this.
Before I moved to Tucson, it's like Scott Keogh hour. This is great. To tell everybody who I am.
Yeah.
In Tucson, as I said, I left British Aerospace, mutual termination, so to speak. They fired me. I quit. Right. Letters. Right. In transition. I don't know why that was so important for them to see that, have them try to terminate me on paper. But anyway, it's irrelevant now. We opened a company up. 4 people. Myself was being one of the minor principals. Opened a company up called Wraith. It's WRAITHE, like the spooky.
The Reapers.
Right, that kind of thing. And we were doing UAV work with the Sheriff's Department county on the border in Tucson. Sheriff Deaver, rest your soul, sir. He ended up dying, I'd say about a year after we made his acquaintance. He was in charge down there and ended up driving off a cliff, unfortunately. But that whole effort, although it had great legs and great meaning, the State Department kind of held us back a little bit and wanted more of their notoriety to be involved. And we had a falling out within the principals. And so I left that hanging. So again, unmanned systems work, right? More unmanned systems. Came to Coronado, brought the family out to Coronado. My oldest daughter's now in high school. She wants the academy. That's the reason why we came to Coronado, so she could network. I could network with the heavy flag officers here. Right. My old stomping grounds. We can make a name for ourselves out here, and I'll do freelance contracting again. At that time was M Shipco was the name of the company that I ended up tying up with. There's a vessel called the Stiletto, an 80-foot vessel. It's on the wall around the corner. That I was heavily a part of in uniform, that we're going to bring it back to support ISR, which is intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, for active teams. So more of the same stuff. I'm making sense here. I feel like I'm getting tied up. But now I'm in Coronado trying to drive the same train. So the gym and how this all ties back to myself and our mission statement, what we want to do here. So this is not just a gym. And my effort is not just to train people how to street fight and survive. Although that is my passion. I love it. I love to fight.
Right.
I love it. I fought for the Lions Den out here for a couple of years, and Ken Shamrock showed me how to get a pro card and all that kind of stuff. So I owe a lot to that. But it's a great place for youth to build their confidence, and a great way for the community to tie together. And we have these Saturday events like today, right now, this evening, we have the fights on. The UFC is on here today on the big screen, and it's free to the public. And if you're a member or not, you can come here and watch the fights just to bring people in and bring them together.
Right.
But 80% of our clients are military. And I chose this spot not only because it's comfortable for me. I did 30 years here, Navy. But our location is where all the West Coast teams are. And their support commands are here as well. They now have what's called the Stick, right? The new base here on the Strand. So the idea was that we would not only start this gym to train or help augment train. They have their own thing going on, their own gym. They don't need me. But what's nice is to get away and be able to mingle outside of the command's eye, right? Yeah. Big brother's watching, so to speak. Sometimes that gets old, and you just want a place to go that is unrelated, yet still relates.
Right.
That's us. So our whole deal here, we're a nonprofit. Patriot Psychology, Patriot Psych, is our nonprofit 501c3 that the Bear Cave is umbrellaed under. So we're just starting to petition for donations this year. I took the last year to start. We've been open here since February of last year. That's when I got keys. 4-month build out got us for our grand opening was in July of last year. So in essence, we've been open a year. And I think we've done really well for that year. Seeing as that just in February, we got our punch in the gut with the COVID virus.
Right.
And they're like, oh, close your doors. Now, we're going to go over that whole lump here in a little while. I want to save that kind of to present day kind of speech. We're still kind of bringing up the rear. So what are we doing here? The suicide rate for active duty, for veterans of the Gulf Wars and beyond. So I drew a line what I did by research paper on this. So just to let everybody know out there, I've nearly completed a master's program in clinical psychology, my undergrad in Homeland Security Emergency Management, and I'm working towards a PhD in experimental psychology. Well, I'll go all the way on the PhD is kind of, we'll see. It's not necessary to get done what I want to get done. It's nice to have the pedigree on the paper, on the wall, to say, hey, we both can drink the same coffee now. Right. Because there is some I don't know how to say this. There is some etiquette when you deal with a PhD and you got a master's. You're just not quite there. It's just like the coffee thing, right?
Yeah.
Go make me some coffee.
Yeah.
Right. We can talk, but just go make me some coffee and we'll be okay.
Right.
Remember your place here, okay? Well, I don't buy that. And either way, you got to deal with it. That's the way things are. That's fine. But what I want to do is I don't need the PhD. It's going to be nice to have, and it's in line with what I'm doing, so why not go for it? Okay. So let's shuffle back around and don't segue again. The reason why we're here is to reduce PTSD suicide. Now, here's a number that you're going to find probably so astounding, you're going to think it's inaccurate. One veteran every 52 minutes commits suicide by gunshot. Successful suicide. It doesn't sound right, successful, but it's the only way I can say it.
Right. Yeah.
By gunshot wound. That does not count in the asphyxiations, the overdoses, the any other method of suicide or terminating your life in that figure. That's 25 people a day. That's a lot, I think.
Yeah.
We don't hear about it on the radio. We do now, thanks to you guys. That's why I'm so privileged to be here and have this moment, is that I want to get this out there.
Yeah.
It's not new news, but it goes unaddressed at the highest levels of Washington. We could talk about all sorts of issues on the border and sex slavery and human trafficking and drug interdictions and things like this, but we don't talk about PTSD suicide because it's a black eye to the VA.
Yeah.
And that's not because we have bad people. The system is broken, and we have to fix it. So the more light I can shine on that and play a part in taking some of their overflow, I want to be. We want to be that person, and we want to scale this element in other places.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the Bear Cave, which I'm incorporating physical fitness, education, excuse me, and training as a method of decompressing the PTSD situation. So guys come in here, men and women come in, and they're jacked up, and they don't tell you they're jacked up, but they're jacked up inside. Otherwise, they wouldn't have walked in the door. That's a call. Walking in the door is a call for help all by itself.
Right.
So what do you do with that? Well, for us, we want to again make sure people understand what's going on here. Get funding to where people can come here that cannot afford to come here, who are on the edge and have nobody to talk to, that kind of thing. They don't have to worry about funding. We'll have it covered because we're a nonprofit. We will get donations. I have not received a single donation yet because we're only now ready to accept donations legally. So you got to make sure that you're up to and touching on these things. There's so much paperwork involved that you certainly don't want to get a black eye that way.
Right.
People are, see, you're doing it because you're greedy. You want to take money and use the veterans as an excuse so you can go buy your yacht. No. But if we buy a yacht and it's staffed by, veterans, what's wrong with that? I don't know. Give them something to do with their life. And that goes back to why I kind of got into this personally is I was hurt bad. I basically could not go back to what I was doing the way I wanted to do it in uniform. And I broke. I broke completely. We're trained to suffer in silence and to suck it up and to, if you ask for help, you're weak, I'm not a weak guy, right? But everybody has their breaking point, so to speak. And I had hit my point facing cancer. So, again, I don't want to sound like a big sob story for Bear, but I got injured seriously, in uniform. I get out, 2 years down the line, getting a handle on things, I get diagnosed with colon cancer. Okay, now what? Go through that whole mess. And then I get a handle on that. Now I've got thyroid cancer. Oh, by the way, the treatments gave you chronic pancreatitis, which is life-threatening and fatal.
Wow.
So it's like getting hit in the face. That first punch may not do a bunch, but you get hit 3 or 4 times, you're going to go down. Eventually, you're going to go down.
Yep.
And so by doing this, it gave me, I had lost my purpose, I guess is where I'm going, is, my purpose before was killing bad guys. Training people, leading men downrange, and killing bad guys. I loved it. I love doing that. I'm going to say that I love killing, but I love defending our borders and defending the American flag and watching these guys come up through the ranks and God, just being a part of that.
Yeah.
And then taking life where necessary without batting an eye, without wondering whether I should have or not. No, all my kills are clean. However, it still weighs on you. It still weighs on you as an individual. And so wearing that baggage, carrying that baggage builds up. You can only carry so much on your back. Another bag. Okay, I got that one, But eventually those bags start to fall off and looking for other ways to relieve that pain. And all of my issues, and I haven't gotten to substance abuse here yet, but we deal with substance abuse on the same level as we do PTSD. it's cause and effect. Something caused these individuals to go to substance abuse and drink a lot, or use opiates. And the VA was the number one source for opiates legally.
Yeah.
God, when I got out there, we're just shoving them. More pain? Here's some more.
Yep.
And, oh, great. It's working. Right on.
Then you build up your tolerance, and they got to just prescribe more.
That's where I'm going. Exactly right. Please, thank you for jumping in. Yes. And not only that, alcohol is part of our social life. But by taking opiates, you can drink more.
Yep.
Doesn't affect you the same way. See, we were compounding. We're starting to be a fifth of Captain Morgan or a vodka a day. So now I'm doing a handle. And I'm looking for the next handle. And all of a sudden, then comes the big eye opener. Well, no more opiates. Can't have them anymore. We're going to cut you back to 1/5 of what you had before, and that's just the way it is. Well, oh my God, you ever been through opiate withdrawals? It's not a fun time. It's not life-threatening, but it damn well feels like it is.
Right.
You know, heavy vomiting, diarrhea. It's for a week at a time. That's not a fun place to be. So what do? You can't get it at the VA, you go to the street. If you can't get pills in the street, you go to heroin. It's readily available. It's cheap. It takes away all you want, like pain, is for those effects, right? What's the word I'm looking for here?
Where they're gone.
God, what's it? When you're going through withdrawals. You want the withdrawals to stop. And you'll do anything, nearly anything, to make that happen. Right. Not that you want to be on opiates forever. You don't. You just want now that pain to stop at that moment. Now let's figure something out. Well, there is no middle ground anymore. There's trying to fill it in at the time being, but there really isn't the support mechanism for people to come off these drugs.
Yep.
And so you got that in effect. Why, again, I'm doing substance abuse here. The substance abuse feeds the suicide. And then that feeds divorce. And that feeds this. It perpetuates and they feed each other. And there's nothing anybody's doing about it.
Yeah, that's the big topic right now, too, with like especially veterans, is they want like CBD. They want cannabis. Okay. You know, because that is to them, and I probably agree with them, a better alternative than opiates and everything else that they can't get their hands on. Or that they can. So I know, like, I think it was just a few months ago that the House passed a bill where they're allowing at least CBD oil to veterans.
Yep.
Which that would be a big change, because right now they just get it, off the streets.
Yep.
Is CBD effective?
CBD doesn't have THC in it. You can get it without THC, but it's effective as far as like pain management.
I have a vape pen in there that I've tried a couple times, and one has a little bit of THC. I think it's like 0.03 or 0.3, something like that.
Which is minor.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. And that's what I wanted, something minor, because for me, THC itself is far too powerful.
Yep.
And makes me feel uneasy and paranoid.
Yeah, well, and that's a lot of people. They don't want that aspect.
Yeah.
I don't want to get high.
They just want the pain management.
And that's why they also started edibles now are even more popular, because edibles they're more psychoactive, so they kind of people say it calms them down better, and it's more of a mellow long-term effect, where I've never smoked weed or done anything like that, so this is all off of hearsay, but
honestly, you've never done anything?
Never. Oh, I had my wisdom teeth taken out, and they gave me...
As current federal employees, I can assure you we've never dabbled in any of this.
Yeah. When I was in the Navy, I had my wisdom teeth taken out, and I took Vicodin one time, and I didn't like the way I felt, and so I was like, I'm good, and I just flushed them.
Yeah, he doesn't even like Motrin or anything.
I don't take
He's
Motrin.
Like, I don't feel good. I'm like,
I drink.
I still have like 2,800 milligram Motrin from my Navy days. So
rarely do I ever even take ibuprofen. Like, I don't even like taking ibuprofen. You can ask my wife. My wife would be like, "Can you just take?" I'm like, I don't like taking any of that.
That was a standard procedure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Motrin, ibuprofen,
milligram Motrin, and to me that's great. But for my level, I want to cut you off there. But, I was up to basically 300 milligrams of morphine sulfate a day.
Oh, that's right.
And right now you guys know that I'm hurt, right?
Right.
My right knee,
big knee surgery.
Almost lost it last December. got me back onto opiates as chronic pain management. Yet I'm exceeded my last doses because of the tolerance issue.
Right.
So, and I want to come off these soon, but I can't do it until they can fix my knee. They can't fix my knee until we reach a year of being virus clean. Virus meaning not COVID, meaning the septic arthritis that got in my knee in the first place. So I'm back on them. I guess it's the same regimen is now I'm back on opiates. And eventually I'm going to have to come off these things and do it the right way. Do I need to go in? The first time around, I actually told my doctor, and he says, well, you can't do this alone. You need to go in someplace professionally and be supervised. Okay, what do? I went into Sharp Mesa Vista, behavioral health up here, off the 165. Great place. Worked out well, but I had 30 days voluntarily to come off that. But, now I got to go back. Do I have to go back through that again? It's rough. A difficult position to put somebody in. And when they are, again, you got the pride factor. You've got the convenience factor. He's chasing his tail. That's my service dog, by the way, folks. Coda height. Hey, leave that tail alone, buddy. So I don't want to, but I guess back over to you. Your experience, you've been, I think, fortunate enough not to be exposed to too many opportunities to beyond that. Otherwise, you'd, be
right. Well, I also saw my older brother was an addict for many years, and I've watched before the Navy him basically not destroy his life, but go through a lot of things because of methamphetamines and bad choices and whatnot. So seeing what my family was going through kind of also made me go, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want my family to go through that. They're already going through it with him. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, well, which deterred me quite a ways away too. And then, but that's why I never did it. It's probably because I grew up and it was in my house and I saw what it was doing to people, and I was like, I'm good, man. And then also I hung out with people that smoked weed and did all kinds of stuff and whatnot, but it never attracted. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, I just never attracted to me. So I don't have an addictive personality. I used to smoke.
I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't have addictive personality.
I think I do.
Yeah.
I grew up in a house with two alcoholic parents, though that was their lifestyle. That was typical for them at that day and age. Nobody recognized it back then. But I think hereditarily, I picked up some traits that allow me to be more susceptible to the opportunity.
Yeah.
And lucky for you, I have to say that you don't. No excuse, though. I mean, it doesn't give people the excuse to go, I have an addictive personality. My parents were alcoholics. That's why I'm so screwed up.
Yeah.
No, I don't buy that. You are an adult.
Right.
And you know what's going in your mouth. You know what's going up your nose. You know what you're doing. You can say no and stop. But it is a factor to look at.
And that's not to downplay anyone that is an addict or anything like that. We're not trying to do that. Like, it is a very difficult thing.
It's tough.
Like, we're not downplaying that. But
yeah, I sure hope I'm not coming across that way.
No. And that's where I want to make that point is like, but at the end of the day, like, you are a human being and you do have to make your own choices. You know what I mean? Like, no one's going to say, hey, stop doing that. And then, you have to be the first one to recognize, like, I need to stop this. Because anyone, like, it's kind of like what they say, like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can give for someone all the resources in the world to help them, but if they don't want to stop or they don't want the help, then it doesn't do anything.
I don't think they realize how serious it is. I worked at a hospital, and
this is good,
sometimes when people get admitted, if they were alcoholics, right, they get a prescription of beer. So their prescription will be this individual could have 3 beers a day, or this person might need 6 a day. And the reason why is if they just go cold turkey, it could kill them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, alcohol.
So they issue it. They issue it. Like,
alcohol withdrawals are life-threatening. Absolutely.
Yep. I was
DT.
like, man, that's some serious business.
Yeah.
When I first went in the hospital and was exposed to that aspect of it, it was the Balboa, actually, and I had no idea that I was being diagnosed as an alcohol addict. Okay, not an alcoholic, an alcohol abuser.
You were addicted to alcohol here.
I was abusing it.
Yeah,
not addicted to it at this point. I don't. In my life now, I'm an addict. Period. I don't see the difference now. Once you cross the line, you just are.
Right.
And you're constantly in battle with that. And I think when people can recognize that, it makes their life easier as far as recognizing it. But I was going down a path there. What did you say last? Because I don't want to miss my point.
I don't remember what I said.
Yeah, me too. Over to you. No. Oh, I know what it was. What led home to me was they were putting these big pads on my bed. I was in a wheelchair, getting ready, being admitted, and they were putting these big cushions on the side of my bed, over the bed on the side. I'm like, what's that for? Like, well, you are
fall risk.
Not just a fall risk. Your convulsion risk.
Wow.
Because your alcohol withdrawals, you can go into what they were called DTs. And luckily for me, I've never gone through DTs. But I've seen it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's not funny. It's not fun to see. It's not pretty. But they were putting on my bed. I'm like, I'm one of those. I'm one of those people that they're talking about. And yes, yes, I was. And just recognizing that for the first time going, you know what, you got a problem here, pal, and you need to do something about it. And the effect it was having on my family. Now, I may have missed a bridge there on why I'm talking about substance abuse here. It's from a personal level because when I came off the opiates voluntarily, it had become such a big part of my life. Big position in the second largest defense contracting company in the world, moving and shaking, flying down range, dealing with 75-man division. I have a lot going on. Well, all of a sudden, getting opiates became the focus of how I could fly, when I could fly, where I could fly to. How do I declare those? And if I run out, where do I go? What do I do?
They became a priority.
It became the priority.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. And again, a wake-up call. I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
It was like a light switch one day. I just said, nobody told me. I just said, what am I doing here? So then I called my doctor, and he's like, all right, Bear. He goes, you got to need professional help. You can't do it alone. So that's what we're going to do. And he helped me make some arrangements that I just said, shut me some Vista, and I went in, I came off. But when I came off them and came home, now here's where I missed this point, is my family was, oh yeah, they're all supportive and stuff, but I had not realized the effects that my addiction had on my family. It was tremendous. And they kept it in for the longest time until it became so apparent to everybody, relapses and so forth, that I'll save the audience from that. But I went through relapses in both alcohol and on opiates. But for the most part, I towed the line. But having seen that, God, I hate it when I do this, man.
You're talking about
Towing the Line.
Towing the Line.
I think it's a good song, too.
Damn it.
It's a great song.
Well, I guess, I know what it was. Thank you. Towing the Line. Had nothing to do with what I was talking about, but thanks, Ray.
Hey, as long as it triggers it, I'm good.
It did. No. What do you do? What do you do when you're off of opiates, but the pain comes back? I was taking opiates for a reason. All the pain came flooding back. And then I'm trying to figure out what is real pain, what is not real pain. And you convince yourself, you make up excuses as to why. But anyway, I ended up leaning on the bottle. That was the transition. It went from prescribed opiates to coming off opiates to alcohol to subdue that to withdrawals
So did the gym help with all that when you started the gym?
Well, the gym is the place where you go to kind of focus away. But with that question, I knew that physical fitness is a huge aspect of anybody's lifestyle, just to stay clean. Mm-hmm. If you feel good about yourself, and how you feel after a workout is very much the same way you feel after you take 30 milligrams of Oxy. You know what? I feel good. I'm relaxed. Okay. And so finding that alternative source, I was always a gym rat. And thanks for that, because that's how this all ties in together, is combining that physical fitness and sense of purpose again. When I got hurt and got asked to leave the Navy, so to speak, and then got asked to leave the corporate world mutually, what am I going to do? What do I do now? I've made it, so to speak. I'm not rich by any means, but I've I'm down a pretty good path right now, right? I've got my gym. But I guess where I'm going is everybody needs a sense of purpose. And when you lose that sense of purpose, that's when you lean on these substances to go, to augment that feeling. And you're in so much pain. I can't do what I used to do. What am I going to do now? Depression sets in. And then you're looking at the muzzle of a gun. Then you're looking at a bottle of Tylenol. And then you throw into the factor that here's a big part. And thank you, man, because you got me on a better train of thought, or the train of thought that I missed, is that these active duty folks, I don't want to take anything away from the Vietnam folks, okay? They had a rough go, man. A rough go there, a rough go coming home, and long deployments. And so I don't want anything I'm saying right now taking anything away from them. But the big but is that they had 45 days, 60 days, 90 days to decompress on a ship coming home.
Yeah.
Our guys now are in direct action, lethal combat, and they're home in 24 hours.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
How do you, one, justify from the head shed level putting these guys in that position of going home after taking life, and expect them to operate normally?
Yeah.
Just flick a switch and go, okay, you're home now. All is good. Hey, man,
turn it off. Just turn it
You're
off.
home.
Yeah.
You still remember Rambo, right? When he's crying there,
Yeah.
I just can't turn it off. Put it over me. Yeah, it's my Rambo impression there. But you can't. You can't turn it off. And so then you suck it up. You suck it up internally, and you go to the quickest source to relieve that pain, and that is alcohol.
Yeah. I had a couple friends who've done deployments, seen combat and whatnot. One of my old roommates he did 2 tours as a Marine infantryman, and his first deployment was really bad. And he said,
Do you remember what his unit was in the year?
He was there 2008. I don't remember what his unit was, but he works for NASA now.
Not Fallujah, though.
Yeah, he works for NASA now, and but he's one of those ones that it affected him, pretty good. And good in a relative way, but and that's
good
in
a bad way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and he said, it was crazy because he's there, goes through all that, and then he comes back a week later, and he's supposed to go back and join the ranks or go back and be at home. You know what I mean? He's like, do you realize what I just saw? Like literally last week.
What I had to do.
Yeah.
Pulling the trigger on a bearded bad guy is okay. It's not easy taking human life.
Right.
Nobody that I know brags about it
and
really means it. When you're dropping a 10-year-old kid, you're dropping a woman that you can't even see the rest of her eyes. And she's a combative. She's carrying a weapon. That is a whole other story. And from a moral standpoint, you gotta carry that home. And from a God-fearing standpoint, you have to answer that.
Yeah.
And many people, including myself, had a hard time dealing with that. And still do. So my goal here is to give veterans, active duty folks and their families a place to go.
It sounds like law enforcement could go from that too.
Ellie,
I think they have the same kind of problem. They don't.
I'm sorry if I left them out.
Oh no, but they're like every day the same thing, and they're right back at work with no decompression with their 3 hours of training a year.
And you know what? And you're right, man. We talk all of us about active duty military because they're on the news all the time, but it seems like law enforcement is always in the bad right now because
they're the same bad spot,
because of these bad shootings and their percentage of shootings that are a very small amount. We can go to a whole discussion on that. But you're right, they're forgotten. Yeah. And I don't mean to forget them at all. Yeah. Where Ellie is here, and this is a place for them to go that they can watch a movie, they can get their lift in, they can hang out with the boys and the girls like on Saturday fight night and not have to worry about riffraff. We don't train riffraff here. You won't find riffraffs like undesirables, people that disrespect other people out in the street. You know what I'm talking about? Gangbangers, things like that. No, you're going to find them here. And hopefully that we can scale this, but the other piece of this pie with Patriot Psych is the establishment of a facility. I'd like to do it in the Tijuana estuary for a camp. So we have a number of names we're thinking about. Camp Victory, I'm brain gassed now on the names I had for this.
Well, you don't want to let anyone else steal them, though,
Ken
right?
Phoenix.
That's right.
What about Ken Phoenix?
That's right.
Someone else would be like, "That's a great name, man. You didn't trademark that one yet." I got.
Well, I was going to name it after one of that guy right there in that picture. It's Robert Vetter. He was killed in the line of duty, and name it after him, Camp Vetter. But where you can go for not just a 1 or 2 night stay with your family, you can go there for 30 days.
Yeah.
45 days and get yourself in order. You come back. What I'm pushing for is a mandate of active duty to go from their combat assignment. I heard myself fading there. From the combat assignment to transitioning back to civilian life or to the civilian community, back your domestic life. They have to go be assessed and they have to go to Camp Patriot, and where we have psychologists on site. All the resources are on site. We've already pre-screened the family. What's the veteran facing of that duty certificate when he gets home? Is there infidelity? Are the kids running amok? Are the kids on drugs? Is the mortgage behind? And we use donations and funding to bring the mortgage up to current
date. Yeah.
We let mom and dad, whoever is the individual that was downrange, walk the beach, hold hands, and get back to being them without worrying about those external pressures that we face so often that drives people to the point of taking their own life.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going with this piece is one part of a larger effort to establish that facility. I had bought a piece of land out in Campo, 257 acres of beautiful horse property.
Wow.
On the 94. And I did it very creatively because I'm not carrying $750,000 in my back pocket, right? So it was a kind of a lease option kind of thing. Let me get my hands on the property, clean it up a little bit. There was two homes on the property that were dilapidated, completely full of killer Africanized honeybees in the chimney. I had
burn it down.
bats in the chimney and bees in the walls.
Wow.
That's what I had. So, and tarantulas, which are fine, but they're all over the outside walls at night, and of course scorpions and things. It was an old retired chicken ranch, so these huge structures that were again blown down. It was Chinese chicken ranch. Bless their hearts, they had a lot of chickens there, right? But it hadn't been touched in 5 years. But what I was going to do with that is establish it as a nice horse property and raise grapes to sell to the wineries locally. And who would run it would be the veterans. Veterans come down there. They would come in for 90 days, and they would be assigned an animal to take care of, establishing this very significant connection between equestrian and canine animals and human beings. And I found it to be tremendously soothing for myself to be involved with that.
Right.
So that was going to be a part of this as well. But I put the cart before the horse. Ended up being too much environmental cleanup on the property, so I had to basically let the property go back. Took a $30,000 loss myself, all personal money or no donation money. We're not there yet. I didn't even establish the 501c3 nonprofit yet. But then I was like, okay, we bit off too much more than we could chew initially. Let's do the gym and finish school and get therapy going, and then we'll build out from there. So that's where we're at now. That's where we're at in a growth process. Excuse me.
That's a good idea, though, and you can always partner up with like the nonprofit humane societies because they actually get lots of horses on cruelty cases and things like that.
Absolutely.
And then you can assign the vet to the horse and do that whole care that way. And then you're actually
that's exactly right.
You're actually using the humane society 501c property, but pairing it with your vet.
Yeah, and
I used to work at a humane society, so
he's got a lot of jobs.
You got to come on board.
I've had a lot of jobs.
That's exactly what we're looking to do, and we help each other that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we do co-marketing, and we're a package deal, so to speak. And I had at one time 6 horses, all loaners, right? They're all life leases, we call it, where they give you the horse on paper, they still own it, you pay all the bills.
Such a small world. We were just talking about horses a couple hours ago.
I love horses.
We were.
Remember?
Yeah.
So bizarre. Small world.
What were you guys talking about?
Oh, I saw this morning when I was getting ready for work, I was checking, I don't know if it was like Instagram or Facebook or something, but I saw this video and I was telling John, I was like, I've never seen a horse overgrown hooves before. And like the horse's hooves are so long, it was walking on its knuckle behind.
So it was curved over.
Yeah.
No, it was just so long they couldn't balance on it because
They're not trimmed.
They weren't trimmed.
Yeah.
Like his hoof was probably a good 6-7 inches long, just his hoof alone.
Yeah. So
what do they do? I mean, I'm a horse guy. Horses don't get groomed in the wild.
You
right.
got to get a farrier in there to just trim it.
Right,
all
right.
Yeah.
They wear the hose down by naturally running and
Right.
moving. So they weren't something wrong with the horse.
No, it was.
Just neglect.
I think it was just probably a neglect case, and then a person came in and
Okay,
it was
so
showing them
they're confined. They can't go out and move. They can't do their own.
Yeah, it was like hooves.
deal.
His hooves were like super impacted with mud and stuff like that too. But it was cool because this completely sidetrack of Bear's story. But it was cool because it was just him basically getting a pedicure. This horse, but I didn't realize like how crazy it was to see, and then the horse getting taken care of and like the shoes put on and everything like that. It was really cool, and I was like, I have a whole new appreciation even more for people that take care of horses because it was captivating. It was an art form how this guy was taking care of just these hooves.
Farriers,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? It was crazy.
It is a lost
Farriers,
art.
horse vets.
Yep.
And then I told him I'm certified in horse cruelty. So when I worked for the Humane Society, I dealt with a ton of horse cruelty cases.
Yeah.
What does that mean? You're certified in horse cruelty?
So I went to like a school where they teach you about body weight, how to measure it, how to look at the hooves, how to check the coats, like how they're supposed to be in the winter. Like a big problem in the U.S. right now is they close. So what people used to do with their horse when it reached a certain age is they'd sell them to like a feedlot, basically.
Yeah.
And they would butcher the horse, and then they would go overseas, and that's where they sold the meat. So the one plant that used to be left was in Texas. They closed it down, right? So now what you have is people that their horses die from starvation.
Yeah.
They don't put them down like they used to. So it's like
they put them out the pasture.
Yeah, so they just literally starve to death.
Yeah. Don't
20-year-old
winterize them
horses,
or anything
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Just
so we'd get called out for a starving horse or a horse that looks emaciated, and we'd go out and we do our bit.
emaciated. What's that?
We're emaciated where they're starving. You can see
Yeah,
Oh,
their
okay.
Ribs are showing. And
Yeah.
That's a big word for me. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I got to write the EM.
But that's how we got.
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
talking about horses.
No.
And now you're talking about
Oh,
horses.
no,
So I was like, that's a small world.
It's kind of like Parolees and Pit Bulls, the TV
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's kind of like that thing, but
Very much
like,
so.
Vets for vets or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not trying to play on
And there
words,
are
but-
a number of places that are tapping the resources, right? Tapping the money that are day visit locations.
Yeah.
You can come there for a day.
Mhm.
But I'm looking at things far more intimate and long term.
Yeah.
You need to be screened before you get there to make sure you kind of fit the model, so to speak. And you can't homestead there. You can't stay there for 5 years, right? We'd have the place full and
Right.
leave. So the evaluation comes into there, and
So you think you're a couple years from that, or
depends on money. I thank you for that, because right now I am going to start, because the gym is in a position now, being a year old, where I have Tom LeMaster's in. He's my lead instructor and my day-to-day manager, so to speak, when he can. I now have the ability to move more on the direction of Patriot Psych and get those nuts and bolts kind of tightened up and get it finalized. So as far as the site goes, I've just completed the pitch, the DVD, the PowerPoint briefing. Now I need to put on the coat and tie and go to these Fortune 500 companies, McDonnell Douglas, Spay Warrior, name it, up and down here, and get real donations to make that happen. Now, ironically, Ryan Zinke, our former Secretary of the Interior, was my former XO at Naval Special Warfare Center when I was an instructor. So now that he's out of Washington, he's no longer there. He knows the way of it all, so to speak. I'm going to look him up, and he had mentioned once before that, hey, there are properties that are available that could be just signed over to you that the State Department owns,
nice.
And you maintain the property and do your bidding on that. So we're looking for help like that.
Yeah.
I don't have all the answers. I can only tell you that we're eager and ready to go. And the sooner we start, the more we're going to learn and the faster we can get there.
So you already have like your business model down, your projected future.
Yep. I have all the
funds and
numbers
whatnot.
are run out for 5 years. What we anticipate that we need to get, or what we want to get, and what we need to get.
Right.
As far as donations go, what we'll spend and the growth process. I mean, if somebody dumped $1 million in my lap, which is not a lot of money,
Yeah,
right?
especially not for a business with
Oh,
that.
no,
Definitely not in California.
Not here. I mean, right? Ironically, you can buy a single family home at the most basic level for $600,000 in San Diego. I was looking last night. My girlfriend and I were thinking about buying a home, and I'm like, where am I going to buy?
Right.
I can't buy here. Not buy what I want. I can go to Florida and buy what I want for $300,000.
Do you have a website yet? People can go look at.
Yeah.
You want to
for this Patriot?
Well, right now, Patriot Psych is in infancy when it goes to social media. Right. So if you give me a week or two, you can have me back. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Give me a week or two, or have you back on. I'd love to go back over more Patriot Psych, and I have to apologize. I think I segued way outside of the Krav Maga aspects.
No, it's interesting.
No, this is what honestly.
We talk about
martial arts
is
kind of like the glue that brings us together, but then we just go off wherever the conversation takes us. So
this is how martial arts, Krav Maga, and all the philosophies that we hear about, read about with traditional martial arts and belief systems about, I think I call it the cowboy way. Pay your bills, honor the lady.
Mean what you say, do what you say.
Yeah, handshake
Absolutely.
deal is when it's on paper. I'm a cowboy because I believe in that. I'm a beach cowboy. I'm a cowboy with sandals on, but my spurs are right there. I'm a horse guy. I had horses all my life, and I miss my horses. So it's I've got my service dog and my daughters, and that's it. But without people recognizing where the deficiencies are and stepping outside the box themselves and doing more on their own, I mean, just saying hello to somebody on the street. Look what we've lost as far as those little things.
Yeah.
Where am I going with this? It's
Krav Maga, not being a martial art.
Yeah, the martial arts is more than just fighting, hitting the bag. You guys know this.
Yeah.
It's about a lifestyle. It's about a belief system that we believe in doing right.
Right.
Just doing what's right.
Right.
We don't always know what that is. We try.
It's also the closest thing I found to the camaraderie I had when I was in the Navy.
Yeah.
So I think when you get out the service, you leave the service, but you also leave all the friends you had in the service.
Yeah, it was hard.
And I haven't found the people that can kind of relate with that until we started jiu-jitsu, and I'm grinding with these people, getting choked out, going through all that same tough stuff together in the classes.
Yeah.
And you kind of build up that same feeling I had when I was
comparison.
in the Navy.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you there. I never actually thought about that.
I didn't miss leaving the Navy. I just missed all
my friends. I miss the situations and the experiences
going through
with
all those
people,
tough situations together.
Man, I missed all that excitement.
Yeah.
At the same time, a lot of very difficult times in those exciting times. I don't miss seeing people vaporizing.
Right.
No, not at all.
So, but it took me a long time. I think 5 years is the number I put on it to get past it. And again, finding that purpose again in life. What am I going to do?
You leave an identity, and now you got to find a new one.
Right.
Because you're leaving it.
And I was, in my own mind, I was here, my world.
Right.
I was here, man. And now I'm.
Yeah.
And I actually thought, believe it or not, that the Navy would miss me.
We're moving on, buddy.
No. Where's Bear at? We need to bring him back.
We have this problem. Where's Bear? Yeah.
My first job.
Secretary of the Navy's looking around the corner. Where's Bear?
My first job when I got out. So I was aviation boats and fuels, right? So I just, I found out that I couldn't do that job as a civilian unless I had a chemical engineering degree. So the first job I got when I got out was picking up dead bodies for a funeral home.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a difference for me. I was like, well, I've been doing this for the last 8 years, and now I'm doing this. But
wow. And that's not a job you hear about.
No, well, they would only hire vets, and they'd pay them $35 an hour.
Why
so
was
I was
that?
like, I needed money.
It's not bad money.
Yeah, it was just hard to get a job. I went and got.
This was back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I got out in
right?
2005. And, my first interview I went into in a suit and everything, and it was like working for the Humane Society as animal control. And they're like, boom, didn't get it. Then, some other guy got it wearing his wrinkled up clothes while he was at the interview. Then, 2 days later, the director called me. And she was like, hey, did you know... I can't even remember the guy's name. She said the guy's name, and I was like, yeah, I worked for him when I was in the Navy. And she's like, oh, that's my husband, so you're hired. Come to work Monday. So I was like,
it's not who you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, it's who you know. I guess she was talking to the guy. He recognized my name, and he was like, oh, hire him. So that was how I got my foot in that door.
Wow.
Yeah. when I first got out of the Navy, I got out of the Navy early to pursue firefighting. I wanted to be a firefighter. Went through the Washington State Fire Training Academy and everything like that, and kind of to talk about, touch on the subject of like PTSD, and then how law enforcement, like first responders, I didn't realize it until I was in the fire academy, but they have like people that come in, they're like, hey, you don't have to, not talk about it. Like, everyone goes through it kind of thing. And that was the first time that I was like, holy crap, man, I never realized it was also firefighters, paramedics, cops, and stuff like that. But I was trying to go through the fire academy, and that was basically boot camp right after I was a first class in the Navy, got out, and then I was a seaman recruit again.
Line up, recruit.
In the fire academy, man. And I was like,
starting all over
again. And I was sitting there standing at attention, marching, singing cadence. And
with a big smile on your face, right?
Yeah, I was, and it was twice, maybe 3 times harder than boot camp was. It was so freaking hard. I can't even describe to you how hard it was for me.
Yeah.
Especially because I was an LPO.
And you were physically fit. How could it have been hard?
Fit.
You were teaching the CrossFit classes.
I've been doing physically fit since like 2013, but it was more like just the mental, and then it was 3 months, 5-6 days a week of being in bunker gear with the SCBA
You're
on.
talking about a certified CrossFit instructor.
Like
here.
it was hard mentally. Like the test was hard. Well, because it kind of like what you're talking about.
So you're
talking
about physically hard, not just academically hard.
No, it was like just everything was so much harder, and I was established in my life, and I had a level head. You know what I mean? So I was like, this is gonna be easy, and I'm sitting there, it's like, this shit is hard, man. Like, jeez, I was like, this was gonna be a cakewalk, right? Because I am brand new out the Navy, right? I don't have any career firefighting experience, and I'm in the career people that have been firefighters for 10, 15 years.
Oh, so your classmates are coming off the line.
Right, so they just got a new job that they're like, all right, well, you haven't been to a fire academy in a while. We'll send you to a fire academy, right? So I'm sitting there, second weekend, I'm the class leader for the school, and I'm telling these 5, 10, 15-year veterans on how to run to our next exercise or whatever. I was like, why would you make me do this? Like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, you know what I mean? And but that was interesting. But after the fire academy, I realized like maybe it's not for me. It's like, so I enjoyed being a volunteer, but I also enjoyed having a pretty cool day job. And I have friends that are firefighters, and they absolutely love it. But
was that around here, the firefighting thing?
It was in Washington State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I went. I had started the academy here for the Crest Fire Department.
Uh-huh.
You guys know where Crest is? The mountain range just east of here, just east of El Cajon.
Okay, yeah.
It got burnt to a crisp, so to speak, during the Crest fires back in the mid-'90s. But I just missed those fires going through that academy. I had to go. I was deployed. So but good stuff, man. So.
Yeah, it was fun. California, actually, when all the wildland fires happen out here, they actually bring a lot of firefighters nationwide.
Yep.
And one of my buddies he worked for, I think he said it was Department of Homeland Security. He worked for them as a firefighter, as a wildland firefighter, and flew around in Apache helicopters and directed people.
Apaches?
Yeah, or not Apaches.
I was about to say, damn, that's a scary.
No, not Apache. Sorry. Oh my God, what was that? I don't remember. I thought he said. I don't know why I said Apache, but he flew around in helicopters with like a Navy pilot, and he would direct people where the fires were, like from the helicopter, and it was super cool. He's like working with other organizations, and then he's like, well, that was fun, but it's definitely temporary duty. He's like, it's not something you can do because he traveled all the time. He had a wife and kids and whatnot. So then he went to structural firefighting.
That's why he couldn't.
So he went to structural firefighting, and talking about the difference between like civilian world and then military. In the Navy, naval firefighting, we care about one thing: keeping the boat afloat. Right? They tell you to walk over your buddy, like if it's a fire. Right? In the civilian world, the biggest eye opener was, the first thing we care about is human life, right? In the fire academy, they're like, okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to put cold stuff on hot stuff, and then you're going to try to get as many people out of there as possible. And I was like, what about the building? They're like, the building can burn. Get the people out. And I was like, it was like a mind blown. You know what I mean? But that was cool to see that. But
So I want to make sure we talk about this a little bit, but this is Travis's first time in the Bear Cave.
Yeah.
Travis, what'd you think of the facility?
It's beautiful. Like walking in, you guys have a huge mat out there. There's like bags everywhere, and you got this nice little hangout area in here. This is
thank you.
The pictures online don't do justice on how big it actually
That's why
is
I've
on the
been
inside.
telling him. I was like, bro, I love the facility.
Yeah. I like how big your mat is too. Like that's really cool. And you got the headgear in the back, all that.
Yeah, you know why
too.
it's hanging like that? So I can get a visual inventory at a moment's notice.
Of how many people are there?
Before the COVID, we had, high turnover classes in the morning, classes in the afternoon, classes in the evening. So we had different instructors come in. I like to say they're responsible, not officially responsible, but we don't want the gear to walk off.
Right.
And so by looking at that any given time, I can see if there's a fixed blade missing. I can see if there's a stick missing. I can see if there's a helmet missing because they're all lined up. Just like that's the military in me, just to line it up.
Right.
I did this build out essentially by myself over 3 months. It was none of these walls were here in the lounge area.
Wow.
No kitchen, nothing on the floors, nothing in there. It was empty shell. Had a bathroom, no shower. Put all of it in over February, March, April.
Yeah, great facility.
May.
Yeah.
5 months. Yeah.
So
4 months.
can we talk about let's talk about Krav Maga?
Well, I got two questions.
Okay,
for
well,
him on
John,
Krav
and then
Maga.
we'll jump into Krav Maga.
So, Bear, if somebody's thinking about coming in for Krav Maga, they've never done any type of martial arts, they're looking at your Facebook site, what would you tell that person if they're interested in coming in? Maybe they're a little hesitant. What would you tell to somebody that's just on the fence thinking about it?
I would say that don't let what you hear about Krav Maga intimidate you about if they've heard the savagery of it, or that it's only for people that are fit, or that, I can't do that because I don't know how to fight. I've never taken anything. No, it's designed. Our courses, our course of curriculum is designed for zero experience. Zero knowledge in martial arts. So you come in at level 1. From day 1, we're going to be doing what we call scenario-based training. So we try to take day-to-day life and apply it to things you're going to be facing on a day-to-day basis. So I like to call it green, yellow, red. Green is when you're home with your feet up on the table and you get your pajamas on and the door's locked and you're at your most comfortable. And then yellow is when that front door opens or it becomes unlocked.
Uh-oh.
I like it.
As soon as it becomes unlocked, you go to yellow because you don't have control anymore. You have control over most of what's going on, but once that door opens or that door is unlocked, you need to be in what we call a hypervigilant, not paranoid state. But to your question is, the longer you wait to come in here or anywhere to start training, the more time you're wasting. And from day one, your first lesson, you're going to walk away with valued skill sets and understanding. It really is. It's about the understanding of what to do in a crisis situation. We do things like huss. We do that because people will hold their breath in a crisis situation. Mm-hmm. So by doing that instinctively, or we ingrain that in you through training, what you do in training, you're going to do, hopefully, in a crisis situation, you don't hold your breath. Once you start holding your breath, because you're scared, and everybody gets scared. Let's not leave our egos at the door. We all get scared. It's how we manage that fear that's important.
Right.
So I would say the most important thing I could tell somebody who's just looking at the website is get your butt in here. Let me give you an intro. Let me tell you what we do and how we do it. We'll see what's right for you. It's not for everybody.
Just like jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu's not for everybody.
I always say the hardest part's just showing up.
That's a good point.
It's definitely my hardest part after a 12-hour day. And I mean, we've been doing this for a couple of years.
But once you get done, the satisfaction that you feel.
When you go home, those endorphins earlier, right?
I got it done. I was in there.
Yeah.
And I like doing my workout early in the morning because if I put it off, I always find a reason to put it off.
Yep.
The more I put it off, the more it's going to get put off. And so just because I own a gym, doesn't mean that I get to work out 24/7. I do not get to work out 24/7. I'm teaching, which is not training.
Right.
So I'm desperate in a lot of ways to train with people. So what I do, where most people would have private sessions, I'll charge for a private session. There is a piece of our business that, and very seldom do I do this, but I'll go to like Coronado and I'll do an emergency action plan for a household there. And basically take the whole family over 2 days and teach them where to go if there's a house intruder. There's an active shooter in the neighborhood. If there's a fire next door, some emergency situation, where do we go in the house? Where's our weapons of opportunity? Where's our escape routes? Where's our safe zones? Things like that. But when I'm in the gym, I'm here every single day that we are open for the most part. And you come in, it's outside class time. And you say, hey, Bear, I got 30 minutes. I want to throw hands. I'll put the mitts on for you. You want to roll? I'll roll on the mat for you. I don't charge extra for that. You want a nutrition plan? We do that pro bono too. I'll put anything I can give you, I give you because I'm here.
Yeah, and I said, you're very accommodating for that because, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep doing this with the 12s and so late.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And then you're like, just come in, 30 minutes. And I'm like, no, I can do that. And then that 30-minute workout I came in, I was like gassed. I was like, man, am I that out of shape? I still run miles on the weekends and I work out.
Yeah.
And I caught a cramp in my side. I was like, what the hell is going on? I'm hyperventilating over here.
It's good.
My shoulders are sore for 2 days.
Yeah, I know it's good because
you're making me feel good, man.
It was a great workout. You didn't. And I was like, what's going on around here?
I know it's good because John will call me. As he gets in his truck, he'll be like, man, let me tell you, right? I was
like, that was a great workout.
Yeah, he'll tell me how good it is, and then I'll get in the truck the next morning, and he'll be like, man, let me tell you. Like, I got it. I understand, man.
Because, time is valuable, right? Yeah. Sometimes I don't have an hour and a half, but I'll give you 30 minutes.
Well, the big thing is that you don't need it. You don't need an hour and a half workout to get the job done. Right. So what I've done for my own personal accommodations is I've broken my workout out of 3 sessions a day, but only 30 to 35 minute sessions.
That's my sweet spot. 35 minutes, 40 minutes. I need in and out, and I'm gone.
Yeah.
Now, it all depends on your goals. If you're trained to be a UFC fighter, you need to put in the time. You need to be your endurance needs to be through the roof, and there's workout plans for that. But if you want to be a guy that wants to keep the pounds off, look good, and defend himself or his loved ones, he or she, be able to go 100% for about 3 minutes. Then it's over. Either you've won the fight or you've lost the fight in 3 minutes.
Well, you definitely showed me when I'm actually throwing, I can only go about 35 seconds. Yeah.
I
was like, how much time is left on this thing? I'm used to
laying down. I started noticing that glance over the shoulder.
I'm used to holding people and taking their energy.
Yeah. We always talk about it when we tell people about the first time you do like jiu-jitsu or really any combat sport. You don't realize how just a little bit of training makes a huge difference. I thought I was physically fit and I knew what I was going to do. I wrestled a very little bit in high school. So when we first started jiu-jitsu, I was like, this will be easy. I'm not worried about this. I mean, obviously I know I'm going to get my butt kicked. After the first 5-minute round, I thought I was going to die. I was like, in my head, I was thinking,
where was this?
This was at our school, our academy in Washington. And as I was sitting there and just getting pummeled by I think he had maybe 6-7 months of experience, and I'm just getting
destroyed.
Is a lot.
Yeah, we guys are going 7 months every day. That's not right. He knows what he's doing.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm fit, I'm strong, I have pretty good endurance. And I'm like, I would literally die.
Yeah.
He would kill me. Yeah. I would die on the streets if this person, if I had, didn't know this, and it was a huge eye opener. So ever since then, I was like, I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's these kind of stories that I like to bring attention to when we're teaching. I want the students to hear from each other. Everybody has something to offer here. Everybody's been through something or question a move. Not every move works for everybody. That's why Krav Maga is so unique in itself, is that it's taken all the fluff out of fighting. So when Emi Lichtenfeld was sent out by the Israelis, this is the history of Krav in 1942, to find a system that would work for the Israeli Defense Forces and primarily their special forces, their SF. He went everywhere. He went to Russia. He went to China. He was already an Olympic level boxer, I think, and an accomplished traditional fighter. I think he was a black belt in Okinawa karate, and not a slouch. Is my point.
Right.
And he quickly realized that none of these systems are going to work in the street by themselves. None of them. They're all based on a system of rules.
That's what I was about to say, because you're following rules and they're not.
Rules. And if you notice that my mantra is no rules, no mercy, and no exception to the first two. Many people, and I say most people, have a problem doing serious bodily harm. Now, special forces military, any military, we all go through a level of security training and things like that. We're kind of conditioned for it, especially in my world, we're conditioned to do serious bodily harm. But the average Joe isn't. And it's not an easy thing to overcome, especially in the moment of crisis. If you've seen films on it, I think it adds to the fact that it's even harder because now you know you're going to have gray matter on the ground here. You know, you have to stomp somebody's head to the point of where they're dead. All right? I mean, I'm not saying that we train people to kill here, but I train to lethality because you always have the ability to pull back from that.
Right.
So go for broke, go for zero, or to end the fight. Neutralize the threat, exactly. But don't be thinking I'm just going to punch this guy in the face once.
Right.
Until you have enough training where you can be selective in that discipline. And the more training you have, the more selective and disciplined you can be in how much force you apply.
Right.
You can be that guy that goes, okay, I'm going to take care of you, man. I'm going to drop you. You're saying this in your head.
Right.
You know, I'm going to drop you, but I don't have to do hammer fists on your face until you're dead.
Right.
Or till you're out, right? I tuned a guy up, as I say, at Felipe's here a few months back, and he could have been an active shooter. He had a gun in his back. He could have had a gun in his backpack. I went there with Coda, my service dog, and we go inside to pick up the meal, and I walk by this guy. He's sitting on a stump around the entrance.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, those little cut off.
Like logs in the ground.
Yeah, logs, right. He's sitting there, he's got a bag, and he's looking down, glasses on. I remember glasses on. And I said, hey, like this, I walked by. He didn't even look at me. He kind of actually purposely did not look at me, kind of thing. I was like, whatever, thinking to myself. I go with Coda and wait on the food, and I used to live down there, so they know me in there. Sherry's like, there, that's the guy that's been harassing me. And I'm like, I look outside now. He's gotten up off those stumps, and he's facing three of the servers or busboys, three male gentlemen that work there. And he's got this flashlight, so to speak. And he's putting them in their face. I could see there was an aggressive behavior going on. And I'm like, why don't you just call county? Call county on this guy. So they start dialing the non-emergency. I said, no, call 911. She goes, well, we have a criminal trespass charge on him. I'd like, call 911.
Right.
Yeah, it's even more.
Just call them. I mean, that's what they're here for. We have, that's why county's here. That's why we have sheriffs. So as she's doing that, I look again. I'm like, you may have to take my dog, And sure enough, the guy takes a poke at one of the Felipe's employees. I hand my leash to Sherry, and I go outside, and I immediately blaze through because I'm with the belief if you have the skills and you're in a position where you can do good, you need to utilize those skills and do it. Like a superhero standpoint. I don't think of myself as a superhero, but I think that if I can protect somebody else, I have the obligation to protect somebody else. So, and in today's world with active shooters, this is a real deal.
Right.
I mean, really, all bullshit stuff aside.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. Okay. All bullshit aside, you have to really, you have to go. It can happen.
Right.
So I go outside. I blaze through them. I'm like, hey, what's up, boys? Meaning the guys, right? And he immediately goes to put that flashlight. And what I was doing was just creating space between me and the other two in my face. Puts it in my face, and I palm heel strike the flashlight into his face and drive it pretty much halfway down his throat, right? Striking him back, he cries out loud like a shriek. And I went to a Muay Thai clinch really fast. And I'm looking around now. What do I do with him? See, I would teach level 1 people just to start kneeing right there, knee and wail and go. But I'm looking around. I'm confident enough to where where am I going to put him?
Yeah.
Okay, it's concrete or it's asphalt, and there's other stuff out there. There's the canopy. I don't want to do harm to somebody else, so I move him back to the right, out into the parking lot. Now people are coming up and starting to watch, and I hear the oohs and the cries in the back. So I hip throw him, and I go to the ground with him purposely and start hammer fisting him to the face. Well, they pulled me off him right away. They started pulling me off right away, and I turned to engage, not knowing it was a busboy. I was getting kind of amped.
Right.
But then I stopped. I was like, hey, don't intervene in the future. So my point being is that we have the ability. Can I engage that?
Yeah.
Hey, Nate, we're just doing a podcast, buddy. So I'll put some fights on. We'll be good. All right. And so I was selective in the technique that I used. I was controlled in how I struck him, where I struck him. I didn't strike him in the throat. I struck him in the nose, which hurts the worst and bloodies your, blinds you. Eyes water. And I did kick him in the head. So as they pulled me off, I kicked him in the head, as they were pulling me off, my leverage wasn't there because I was backing up. So you didn't get the full benefit of my strike. Right. But that was my finishing blow anyway. I would have stopped there. But right as I'm doing that, County rolls up and does their job. They hook him up. And so I walk in and grab my food, and I walk back out, and I'm waiting for the dust to settle.
Right.
Everybody's mingling around, and they're pointing fingers at me, and everybody's telling their story, and I'm just put in the car, and I'm just waiting. And then the county walks up and says, "Hey, would you, we've got everybody's story. Obviously, we're defending. It's okay. Do you want to press charges?" And I said, "Well, will it do any good if I press charges?" And he says, "Well, if we press charges, he's going to be out in 72 hours. It's going to be only on the criminal trespass. He was, obviously, when we hear he assaulted you, he assaulted the others. We don't have the ability to do that. It will take an hour of paperwork right here to do it. Are you willing to do it?" And I said, "Absolutely." Because if we don't do it, it makes their job harder.
Yeah.
So as a citizen, I hope I did my part, not only in neutralizing the threat that could have been an active shooter. I didn't escalate. Back to the Krav and the training, I knew when to stop, and I was confident because I trained.
Yeah, you knew what to do in that type of situation.
And I didn't exceed that. My escalation of force on force was warranted, I think, rather than, beating this guy really, really bad and using that as an excuse.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I use the same theory to my son. He's about to be 12 years old, and he does jiu-jitsu with us, and I try to teach him, like, you're the one with the abilities, right? So if someone tries to fight you, you're the responsible one. You know when it's supposed to stop. Like, you use all of your technique that you can in order to neutralize the threat or stop the guy.
You're telling this to your son.
Yeah, I'm telling this to my son. I was like, that way you don't want to be that guy that knows how to fight and then takes it too far. Like, you're hurting the kid for no reason now. Like, you don't need to be that guy. Like, stop them until they recognize that, like, hey, this isn't going to work. Idea. Yeah, this isn't going to work for you. You know what I mean? And then end it there. And if he keeps pushing, and then you keep going. But until they stop, then you keep going. But once they stop, that doesn't mean you keep going. You know what I mean? You're the responsible one. You have the responsibility of not escalating further than it needs to go because you have the training. You know what I mean? Like, it's irresponsible for you
have the
as
skill
the person.
Sets. You've been trained.
Yeah. So that's what I try to tell him. And he's like, so what if a kid like punches me in the face at school? I'm like, well, then take him to the ground and like stop him or whatever. Like,
don't get punched in the face. First of all,
right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maintain the distance.
Yeah, but it's kind of like that. It's one of those things. Like, once you get training, even if it's a little bit, now it's your responsibility to know, like, how far you can take it and how far you shouldn't take it.
And that's why I think the Krav's good too. Like, we've hit on it. We've been doing some training now for a couple of years, but I absolutely understand. Some stand-up game is needed. Like,
absolutely.
I don't want to take people to the ground. I don't even want to be involved at all.
Yeah.
No,
but I understand that I need some stand-up. So I think it's good to get in there and get those real life lessons and training.
I have this argument discussion with many people that come in there like, okay, Bear, I've been to the jiu-jitsu place, and I'm not sure what I should be taking. Should I go to the Taekwondo place, karate place down here? Should I take jiu-jitsu? What should I take? What's different from your system or style, as they would say? And I'd say everything, because we encompass all of that. You don't have to choose any specific system or art because it is a system. It uses uses Muay Thai for stand-up. It uses Aikido and Judo for mid and hip work and jiu-jitsu for the ground. It's what we do in between and the mindset that's different.
Right.
So all the things that are unfair fighting are our number one targets.
Right.
Eyes, nose, throat, groin, prostate.
Neutralize as fast as possible.
Yeah, with serious bodily harm. Yeah, serious bodily harm.
Yeah.
So go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, because John was talking to me about it, and he's like, because I was like, man, what's the biggest difference from like jiu-jitsu and Krav Maga so far? He's like, mindset. He's like, they are 150% all the time. Like they throw everything like they are actually doing it in the street. I'm like, whoa.
Well,
that is definitely
that's
not
a big difference
jiu-jitsu.
for us, right? Because it's like, monitor your energy. Don't wear yourself out too quick.
Jiu-jitsu's chess.
Take their energy.
It is a chess game. Yes, it's a chess game, and it's a great sport.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful sport. And so is Taekwondo.
Right.
Very flashy, and that's where my first black belt was in Taekwondo. And I did, like I said, point tournament. And I thought I was knowing how to fight till I was taken to the ground right away. Tackled by a wrestler. I got worked.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing on the ground whatsoever, let alone, big surprise, right? Not where you want to figure that out.
Right.
Bam, bam, bam. What?
Like, I'm going to kick this dude in the head.
I'm trying to get above the ground. I'm whack. Remember that. My ears are ringing,
Yeah.
But you don't have to with Krav. And that's why it's our main discipline here. I've black belt in Marine Corps McMap, Marine Corps Martial Arts Program McMap, and they took the same philosophy as the Israelis and just put together a system of a variety of techniques that's highly retentive and highly effective for the average person. So there's a direct relationship between size and strength, but there's also a cutoff for that. A lot of the techniques work for all of us. Some of them will work better for me than for you, and some will work better for you than for me. If I'm talking about stature, smaller to bigger.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Flexibility, everything.
My toughest fights have been with smaller guys. They get on me like a flea. I can't get them off. It's like, and, if I close my arm, that opening, that's most people neck sizes. So I can't even choke with one arm. I need to oppose it.
Let me take some notes real quick.
Yeah.
No. But if they're coming here to train, we train serious, but we train safe. And we are the only gym that I know of in IB right now that's been inspected and certified by the city to conduct training. Most of our formal training is done outside that gray area,
Right.
but some of it is still conducted inside as well as, the facility itself. But if they mention this podcast, they get $25 retail gift certificate. How about
Boom,
that?
there
Come
you
on
go.
in.
you go. That's what I like to
That's
hear.
Am I allowed to do that? Can I
Yeah,
pitch
yeah,
that?
yeah.
here?
Absolutely.
for
Yeah,
sure.
by all means.
Yeah.
You bring me a coffee, give me you get a free intro. No, you get
Yeah.
a free intro anyway. If you guys just want to come check us out, you can just come in here. I do intros on Saturday mornings as a bulk, and then anytime, half an hour before any formal class, I'll do an intro for you. But there's no charge for that. I don't believe in people paying money when they don't have to. We don't have any contracts here. It's month to month. One membership for everything. And then if you don't like it, we shake hands, you go. We do have a 30-day cancellation policy. That's only because I need some kind of transition time to get you off the books. And we use a third-party billing system, and that's the other reason for that. So other than that, we don't believe in that, forcing people to pay something that's not working. We had formal judo. We need to bring it back. Once this virus thing kind of decides where it's going to go, we can get a more modified and formalized schedule back where we used to be. But right now, we're doing the best we can what we got. But we're open 6 days a week.
Nice.
I think this is a good point for us to end this podcast.
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah,
good
is
one.
that it?
Yeah,
Boy, it
we'll
was
do
great
another one.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no, it's great. I was just giving this to 986 Palm Avenue in Pearl Beach, California.
Yeah, I was about to say, Bear, go ahead and tell them the name of the gym again. Tell them where they could check you out.
Yeah, it's the Bear Cave, and we are in Imperial Beach. Address is 986 Palm Avenue. And the hardline phone number is 619-500-5095. Check our email out at Bear Cave Krav Maga. That's KravMaga.com.
Social medias?
Follow and like the Facebook page.
Yeah, look us up, Bear Cave Imperial Beach. You'll find us that way. And there's an Instagram thing too, but I don't remember it.
He sounds
I'm
like
so,
me. He sounds like me.
Yeah.
I'm so not social media, but
Yeah.
but honestly, thanks guys for having me on here. But if you do come in, it is free to check us out. You want to try us out for a week or a night? Just come in and sign a liability release. I will say that we are full service gym. We're not just your boutique dojo. We've got equipment, free weights, shower, big screens everywhere, full kitchen, lounge area, which is air conditioned. The gym is not by purpose. And if we don't have it, tell me what it is and we'll get it.
Word.
But, there it is.
I like it. Don't forget to mention elbows tight.
Yeah, don't forget to mention elbows
Yeah,
tight.
so what is that elbows tight thing?
You got to keep them tight, man.
Yeah, like in-
Is that what this is from?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
elbows-
yeah.
All right, chicken. Call them chicken
So-
wings.
Yeah, no chicken wings. Yep, no chicken
When
wings.
we first
yeah.
started, we'd get it all the time. Like, got to keep your elbows tight. Keep your elbows tight. Keep your elbows tight. You
Yeah,
know, then
yeah.
they can't stretch you out. They can't get
Yeah,
those
yeah.
Kimuras. They
There's
can't
no-
get the arm bars. Just keep them tight.
Oh, that's it. When I roll guys that are a lot smaller than me, they just do that.
Yeah,
That's
elbows
it.
tight.
They're on the
Elbows
ground
tight.
like this. And I'm like, give me that thing.
Behind the
Give me that
scenes thing,
arm.
another thing I was thinking about doing is because in the kids class there before we ended, besides elbows tight, in the kids class we call them T-Rex arms.
Yeah,
right?
T-Rex in it.
arms. So I was like T-Rex arm podcast, and I was like, no, that's a little bit too much, but yeah. So, but in any case, once again, Bear, thank you so much for coming
Yes,
on.
Thank you.
John.
Thank you.
It was great. Thanks for setting this up. If you guys heard Bear's social media. If you guys want to follow us and you haven't already, you can follow us on Instagram at Elbows Tight Pod. You can like us on Facebook, Elbows Tight Podcast. Add us on Facebook, Elbows Tight on Facebook. My social media is Travis ETP on Instagram. John is JT Crash 79.
78, bro.
78. Follow him. Follow us on Instagram. Make sure you like, subscribe, do everything, share it out there. You guys are amazing. Thanks for listening.
No
And,
oil checks here.
Remember, no oil checks
And
here.
you guys will have me back, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
All right, with the
absolutely.
Patriot Psych thing?
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
good.
All right, guys. Take care.